And then Nancy and Peggy are going to do a poem together, and then Peggy will do her poems that she's selected, and then we will have the open mic and wrap up the evening with one more poem each by Nancy and by Peggy. So that's the general concept. Nancy Rafal was the Poet Laureate of Door County from April 2019 to March of 2021. And she has been writing poetry for the last 3 decades. She's not a disciplined writer, neither am I, and writes when the spirit moves her. Nancy's work has appeared in many issues of the Wisconsin Poets Calendar, Hummingbird, and other publications. Her reading will be a retrospective of poems that have appeared in the calendars and a few she wished had been selected. She's past treasurer for the Wisconsin Fellowship of Poets and the Wisconsin Writers Association. She helped initiate the Poetry Trail in Newport State Park in Door County and the Door County Poet Laureate Project, both of which are now under the auspices of Right On Door County. Nancy spearheaded the construction and painting of a 96-foot-long mural in Bailey's Harbor that honors the spirit of Lorraine Niedecker and was painted by Ram Rojas, depending. Nancy feels she's a poetry advocate and believes that each person is capable of creative expression. We just need a little prodding and encouragement to pick up the pen and put our thoughts and feelings on paper. So welcome, Nancy.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I'm going to read for this the poems that I have had in the calendar, but they're not going to be in chronological order, thank goodness. So they're kind of theme-wise in groups, except for this first one. Whenever somebody gets up to read in an open mic and says, well, I'm sorry if some of you have heard this before, it just grates against me because here, listening to Beethoven's Fifth for the 57th time. I'm driving to a poetry festival in Fort, car radio tuned to a WPR classic station. Anders Joachim announces the next selection. Madison Symphony Orchestra with John DeMaine conducting. I've heard the Fifth before. Who hasn't? I figure this must be the 57th time. The familiar start, the ascending notes. This one is a fine performance. And so it is with poetry. Collins' Lanyard, Niedecker's Solitary Plover, Murray's Old Men. Let me listen again and again and again. I will never tire. This one was inspired by going to the AWP conference in Minneapolis a couple years ago, maybe more than a couple. I wish that it were true now. Riding the number 19 bus. I am the minority, old white woman. This morning and every morning, dark-skinned women, silky headgear and long sheer fabric. Boys of color, backpack burdened. Spanish-speaking mother, 2 tired preschoolers in tow. Young adult males hopelessly going nowhere again and again. Somehow this morning, the first hint of warming sun in 4 days. Somehow it seems, despite earbuds, empty bellies, cell phones, Somehow it seems we are all traveling in the same direction. The nature of poetry, and this one is in the current Wisconsin Poets Calendar with that wonderful beehive picture on the cover. The nature of birds and poets. Like the mother robin, the poet must brood the words, must lay them in a warm nest of expectation, shelter them from predators. Like the mother robin, the poet must turn the words, tending them so that they will hatch, peep, peep, peep incessantly to be fed. Like the mother robin, the poet must fly away in the world to find food for the words until they fledge and grasp the edge of the nest. And like the mother robin, the poet must send the words out into the world and know that they will find their way to a branch that is their own. The first poem that I ever had published in the calendar was 2002, and it was inspired by my first visit to Black Hawk Island. Lorene's window, after visiting Lorene Niedecker's shack at Black Hawk Island, to catch a glimpse, to see her work, to feel the spark at the heel of this buffalo writer. Word alchemy. Did she use 12 steps to distill? Essence is there always. She condensed and gave us more. Three poems about Door County, where I have lived for more than a third of my life. I can't believe it. Okay, the first one, What I Saw. The music switches to a funky jitterbug as I wheel my cart into the pet food / detergent aisle. Glancing up, my eyes zero in on the couple at the opposite end, the only other shoppers in sight. Him, middle-aged with ponytailed hair, tall, starter paunch. Her, middle height, long, dark, flyaway hair, shapely silhouette. She reaches out for his hand and they start dancing up and down the empty aisle, smiling, laughing in the moment. My eyes still riveted, I sigh, longing to join them for this instant. But as quickly as it began, they giggle, stop, resume their market tasks, the three of us, sole sharers of this spontaneous joyfulness in the pet food / detergent aisle at the Piggly Wiggly. Winter Wednesday at the AC tap. The regulars at their stations, beers in hand. Rosie doing early spring cleaning this February afternoon. Head swiveled slightly, shoulders set with irritation. When the old broads darken the door and take stools at bar's end. Where'd they come from, those old broads? Why are they here in winter? Questions unasked as disinterest returns. Rosie gets it out of them. the clearing hiking class, a liney each and popcorn, and then they go. Seats soon occupied by snowmobilers. Uh, um, I've taken a number of workshops up here. Fortunately, a number of the state poets are very happy to come up to Door County and do workshops. This was inspired in a workshop with Marilyn Taylor and her poem Home Again, which is about adult children returning home to live. It's a different subject. Vacation again. The tourists are back. They've come to buy doodads, eat out and relax. The vacation has come. They've arrived in the door. They've zoomed on the highway, always questing for more. The lure of the Bayside has called them again. They've swooped through Egg Harbor, Fish Creek, and Ephraim. They've sampled the ice cream and swallowed cheese curds. Now they want fish boils before they return home. Their life in the city with potholes and traffic makes them immune to our ways so bucolic. They drive either so fast or so frighteningly slow. We year-rounders just wish they would go home. Some come to get away and camp in the park, but all those campfires just block out the dark. We wish they would go and leave our county in peace. But I'm afraid they'll be back when it's time to wear fleece. Yes, summer and winter, in the spring and the fall. Door County is open for one and for all. The tourists have come. I shouldn't complain. I once was one. The next group of poems kind of follows a relationship, if you will. And the first one, I thank Robin Chapman, who introduced me to the poetry of Ruth Stone. So this has some elements from Ruth's work. First dance. We strangers bring our glass hearts and transparent bodies to the floor. We fall away as the music begins. Our glass hearts are lifted in offering to be opened. Our transparent bodies sink in fluid meditation. Our glass hearts, our transparent bodies sway as time drips away. Hold my heart, and I'll cradle yours carefully, but without caution. Hold my body, and I'll warm yours tenderly, but without tears. When you glimpse the rays through me, grasp the mystery. If the glass breaks, remember this. Exchange. I will give you my laughing eyes if you will caress my weary face. I will give you my warm embrace if you will smile across the room. I will give you the key to my heart if you take care to oil the lock. I will give you the world on a string if you give me a ride on its ups and downs. I will give you a map to places I've never been if you promise to drive carefully. In 2009, Kathy Miner and I were the co-editors for that edition of the Wisconsin Poets Calendar. And the selection committee selected this poem of mine. In the middle of the night. Was it the moan of the moon, the whisper of the wind? Perhaps it was the fragrance of milkweed. Something had tugged me awake. Clock's red face screaming, 2:34 a.m. Hemlock branches unswaying. Moon's light a steady beam. Milkweed waiting for sun to scatter creamy scent. Silhouette of your back moving in sync with your breathing. Clock advancing to 2:45. You, still asleep, turn toward me. Your fingers travel to my hip and anchor there. The cats at the foot of the bed shift positions. If there had been a night watchman, he'd be calling, "It's 3 a.m. and all's well." I realized that I write a lot of ekphrastic work, and this poem was inspired by a pen and ink drawing by a friend of mine, Julia Bresnahan. I thought they were placemats on the table, but she says they were just notepads scattered there. Anyway, waiting for bread. Table is set. Rainbow placemats. Plates await. Guests mingle. Crunch conversation. Appetizers tease. Air pungent. Yeasty earthliness grounds talk. They are waiting for bread, oven hot. Ghost appears, baguettes on high, all senses feast. Guests around anticipate crusty goodness, delicate inner texture. Fragrance of flower transformed by heat, awaiting taste. Anoint with oil of the branch, peace among factions. The wine is poured. Two more. Number, please. I want to call my mother and tell her that my hospital bed has a view of Lambeau Field, that the robot arms caressed me carefully, and that the surgeon successfully sucked out the cancer and stitched that chapter closed. I want to tell her that I can never give her the grandchild she hoped would grant her a future. I remember how she looked me straight in the belly after my hurried honeymoon to Harry. How she suggested I walk around the neighborhood that long ago October day. I want to thank her for not saying, "Wait and see when you have kids of your own," and "If it weren't for you, I'd have a bigger house, more fun, a meaningful life, and for saying, use orange juice when you make pie crust. Cross your legs, stay in school. I want to ask her the mystery questions. Grandfather Olaus, grandmother Press, the father I never knew. Her own solitary childhood, her isolated second marriage. I want to tell her I have survived the cancer, the marriage, the shrinking circle of family, the selling of the homestead, the move from the city. I want her to know that I love her for not being judgmental, for not interfering, and for her steadfast love. But I can't find the area code. And my final poem for this section, when I moved into the house that I live in now, after 20, well, yeah, it's called Beginnings. I'd forgotten sunrises, stars blinking you awake, geese rising in unison over the lake. 22 years living in the woods will do that. The new house is smaller, won't hold our countless books, but the spacious backyard is clear of utility poles and wires and provides a seasonal water view and an occasional deer. The real miracle is that 8 years ago, when the house was rented out, a baby was birthed here, where I've placed my writing desk. Thank you.
Well, that was so good, Nancy. Thank you so much. That was just incredible. What a nice read and such great poems.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so